Nice.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, everybody. If people are going, where's Tom? Tom wasn't feeling too good today. Here on the East Coast, we're having that crazy cold, hot and cold weather. And especially in my area, it's very damp. It's cold. And I guess his back is really bothering him from it. My knee is bothering me from it. And some of us just have had a long week, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I know the feeling.
so,
Mine went
um,
better than the week before, but it was no bargain. But yeah,
So we send our love to Tom, and he said he might pop in and say hi and to chat, which would be as Jackie would say, that would be grand if you can do that. I'm picking up words now from Jackie. I love it. So hello, let's say hellos to people. Ramon was the first one hanging out waiting. Hello, Ramon. Thank you for being here. Um, And so my little spiel here to everybody mentioning listening, Tom, some healing energy and vibes. Hoping he's having a good weekend, just kicking back, relaxing. And during the show at any time, if anyone would like to join Jeff and I, even if it's just for a few minutes to share your point of view in our conversation about our topic of soul contracts, feel more than welcome to join. And as always, please keep in mind this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, to facilitate honest and open conversation. Please remain respectful of the readers and fellow chatters. Most of my chatters, we don't have to worry about that, but every now and then we get new people in, and it's, they get very heated, and sometimes people really believe strongly, in what they believe in, and sometimes it kind of bleeds through, and it can be disrespectful, but this is a safe space for Jeff, myself, and my chatters, and there's no one right answer or wrong way. This is just having an open conversation, because there are some forums where there really isn't room allowed for having, a differing opinion. So this is what we like to be able to offer. Tom and I, Jeff and I, is just some space to share our thoughts, and people can feel free to share their thoughts. And also, Fatima, happy birthday. Today's Fatima's birthday. We read for her last night. So happy birthday, Fatima, my dear. Who let this guy? Oh, wait a minute. Who let this guy in? Oh, that's weird. It won't let me click on you. Oh, it's because, I think when you simulcast, I can't click on your comments. Isn't that interesting?
that's weird.
Hi, Willow Love. Good to see you, my dear. Yeah, I keep trying to click on you, and yeah, it just keeps going down to Willow. That's very interesting. Well, that is okay. We can
That's a
see
new
you here.
revelation.
And
That's a revelation.
yep. And it is my birthday today. So again, happy birthday, my dear. Hello, Hershey. Hello, hello. Today is Fatima's birthday. All sending her happy birthday wishes. And yep, there we go. Nice. Hi, Betsy. Oh, there's Betsy. Aloha. Thank you for being here. And Betsy, if you want, like I mentioned just a few moments ago, Tom was feeling under the weather. He can't be here, but Jeff and I are open to putting the link into chat if anybody would like to come on for a few minutes and share their thoughts with us on on soul contracts, or people feel more comfortable. Please feel free to share in the chat, and I'll do my best to keep up. So good to see you, Betsy. Oop, there's the dancing. Yes. Look, freak. So chic. Freak out. Okay. I was just watching that on the Professor Rock the other day. So I just automatically, when I saw the dancing, you know, it is my soul contract to dance disco. That's what I meant to hear from the back. Um, hey Jay. Hey girl. Stopping by. Thank you for. Oops. It's okay now. Now this is interesting. They're not letting me tap on Jay. There we go. That is weird. Again, of course, my StreamYard. I might have to pop out, come back in. I don't know. We'll see how things go. I was like, Will was like, why am I keep getting flashed up on the screen? I promise, Willow, I'm not trying to mess with you, my dear. And Care Bear, Bard of Cards. I love it. That's Care Bear's new channel, and she will be joining Jeff and I tomorrow night for our poetry and tarot. Totally looking forward to that. Mm, good stuff this weekend. And for people coming in, Tom is under the weather, so Jeff and I will be manning the ship tonight. Um, my hands feel like it's going to fall off from writing so fast. Oh boy. Let's see. The fastest way to have a shopper walk in. A shopper walk in. What does that mean? You mean a troll? You know what? I've done this in the past and I've never had problems with, watch me, knock on wood. But, I've got some fab mods in the chat tonight. So, told you. Okay. Doo doo. And thanks, Jeff, for the advice on the name. Yep. That's awesome. So excited.
Yeah.
All righty. So again, if anybody would like to join Jeff and I via the StreamYard, just let us know. And I'll be happy to put the link in. So let me pop this on here really quick so when people come in, we can see what we are talking about tonight. Soul contracts. Do 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 do. Sounds like I want that that Law and Order. Boom boom. So kind of like Pavlov's dog. Boom boom. It's like, ooh, Law and Order's on. One of my favorite shows ever. Especially with Jerry Orbach. He was awesome on the original. He might have put Baby in the corner at one point, but Jerry was awesome as I can't remember his name on his name as a detective on the show. It was just, hey, it's Jerry. So hello, Harley. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. And there's Thomas. Hey, Thomas. So we've got Harley joining us now. Yeah, weird tech energies going around, Jay. Could be, well, we got new moon coming up. People talk about these resonances or things from the sun. I really don't pay attention to those too much. But we also next month have a solar eclipse coming up, which I'm very excited for. Interesting to see how that energy plays out. We have been looking forward to this too. And good morning from Australia. Hello, Flora. Oh, Flora, while you are in here, I saw on a quick update that Samantha Murphy's alleged murderer was finally caught. Flora, has he disclosed where she is? I know this is a very big story in Australia. Her being a mom and having kids and whatnot. So, if you happen to know, if you feel okay, just popping in the chat. But yeah, whenever I see Australia now, I think of all the families in there that are grieving the loss of her. Let's see. Hello everyone, sending blessings and positive vibes to all, making the rounds and doing all the YouTubey things, the boob tubey things. Thank you, my dear. And my environment is crazy. Kids after me, 2 hours of having just hang with my dad. Wow. Yeah. Sounds like someone's going to sleep really good tonight. Just looking down. Everyone's saying hello. Roxy. Wow. Hello. It's been a while, my dear. It's good to see you. Wow. Lots of people popping in. Some I haven't seen before. That is awesome. All righty. So tonight's topic, soul contracts. These are basically contracts that, people in our community, in the woo community, metaphysical community, spiritual, because maybe not everybody spiritual might be consider themselves metaphysical or woo, but there's this idea of soul contracts. And that is that before we come into this incarnation, that we have set specific contracts with people to be whether family members, temporary teachers, mentors, friends, and then of course in some tragic consequences like Samantha, are they supposed to be someone that has to die by another person's hand? Do we have to die by an illness, a disease? It's all encompassing, our soul contracts. And some people are just like, yep, everything soul contract. And then in the same breath, they'll say, well, everything's free will. Okay, kind of it's almost kind of like an, what do they call that, oxymoron in a way. And of course, again, as a reminder, this is just us sharing our thoughts and how we feel about the concept. And I'm going to let you go, Jeff, and I'm going
Yeah,
to man the chat
I
for a little.
think I think as a jumping off point, one of the things that really is a scary thing about soul contracts, not only for a person from a personal point of view, but a universal point of view, is that if we come down here and we incarnate or we have a predetermined relationship with somebody with whom we keep having it, if there are lifetimes after this or before this where they've been there, are we predestined to repeat those patterns with the same person? And if we are, and we're supposed to learn something so we don't repeat it in the next lifetime, it does come back to the free will thing, because if we're going to violate a soul contract by using our own free will to try to dig ourselves out of it unknowingly, and that's part of God's plan to elevate us with each new lifetime, that's a scary principle if you're being beaten, if you're in a abusive relationship, in a marriage where you're trapped, but yet you have a predetermined goal, or even if it's something more benign where you have to stay with somebody for a certain period of time just to learn something about yourself. There are people of this mindset, that this was the me generation before there were soul contracts, and that it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy to be selfish. So there are so many different ways that people look at soul contracts, and in these communities, I just find that it's stale because it only seems to resonate when it resonates about how we're going to improve each time. And I'm just wondering, especially among the readers in here, who feels that way. And you don't have to bring in free will, but I think free will is
Go
definitely the
together. Hmm.
parent of this discussion. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah. It was an offshoot. We were getting into such the discussion a couple weeks ago when Tom was here. We were talking about the free will with Jeff, and it was like, well, then when you talk about free will, and then everything that happens to us is because we've already been down that rabbit hole, and we noticed that off that rabbit hole, oh, there was another little hole, and so a lot of this is an offshoot, and I think a lot of us, for me speaking, because all of us subscribe to many different readers, and all of our other readers are going to may think the same. They may think differently. In some areas there's more of a group think, and then again, I'm not saying that that is a negative thing at all, but there are different schools, should I say, different circles that hold those thoughts, because they very well can, they because those beliefs, their lives reflect those beliefs, where some of our lives don't reflect necessarily those beliefs. And I think too that in the same breath we acknowledge that the universe is so expansive, our spirits are so expansive, and yet our brains just, we use so little of the capacity of our brains, so that it's like in one breath they're like, well, we really don't know everything until we get to the other side. But then yet we still have people in the same breath will say, well, my guide says this, or another person, well, my guide says this, or this is what I channeled, and this is. And so again, we're kind of backing our own selves into the wall, stating that, well, we don't really know everything, but yet we're certain about this, but yet we don't know exactly the true extent of. So that's why, I like having these conversations because every perspective is right and none is wrong. It's from, but what needs to be supported and encouraged is for those who have the differing viewpoints to still feel like their voice and their perspective and their experiences matter.
Right, and Care Bear asked, "Is that
Hmm.
is marriage a soul contract?" And that brings me back to the other thing I was just gonna say, which is if it's as Heather says, which it is, we have our brain and then we have our heart, and what we know to be true intellectually, we can try to reason away. And even if we try to reason soul contracts, the only thing that's left about soul contracts that we can have an idea of that's true, but even then, it's faith, and it comes back to faith or belief. But it comes to faith because if you're putting faith, and I'm going to say faith is blind, that's another issue right there. I mean, you toss these words around, and you can really, really screw with your own mind. But if you think about
Hmm.
it, faith that you're here as part of a journey and then you go
Hmm.
back and then you repeat that journey. Well, that presupposes too that you've had other journeys and each other journey you're going to learn from. Or they say that if you're down here and you're, in a marriage with someone, you might have been with them before, or you might have been the victim. Now you're the perpetrator, or they switch off. Is there something inherently contradictory about that if you're having a soul contract to expand your soul and yet you're the one avenging them and you've come down to incarnate to do that? I just find that when they even mention these on the channel, I've seen that sort of thing mentioned on channels where you trade roles and the one
Hmm.
that was doing or the one that was bad in a former
Indeed.
incarnation is good or what. So to me, it just seems like it's all a mishmash. It's kind of like that pebble in a pond where all of our energies just circumvent or we go around one another in a circle like this in a pool. And we just keep going for eternity like this instead
Hmm.
of this or instead of even linear. So that's why we're doing this because I'm thinking
And I am starring comments just to let Jeff let you know and people in chat. So I'm making sure everyone's comments get seen. Continue.
I'm thinking that every time we make a mistake in our lives, some people would say, well, this was part of my soul contract, but then you can come back to there are no mistakes, there are only experiences, which would probably be a better thing to say than you must learn a lesson each time in a soul contract because we can't prove with absolute certainty what we are
Hmm.
supposed to be doing in a soul contract if we are supposed to be learning because maybe we won't learn that lesson until the next life or maybe we don't learn that lesson until in between when we're light beings, right? And then we decide how we want to
With
incarnate
that
or
perspective.
yeah, so all of it seems very very hard for me to grasp. So I'm just curious what other readers think and I'm wondering if there are people who have a strong conviction out there who have had soul contracts and they not only not doubt them, but they feel as if they play a role in their lives now, you know?
Alrighty. Well, we have 6 comments start already. So Harley, but in the end, if the positive response is to an expected action, then how is it free will? You can do whatever, but will only reward. Okay, Harley, I'm just a little confused. I'm just trying to understand your sentence here. Um, do you go one way? Let's see here. You understand this, Jeff? But in the end, if the positive response is to an expected action, then how is it free will? I'm not sure what you're saying
I'm
here, Harley. If you
unpacking
could,
that as, if there's free will, well, not
you
always
can
is
do
free
whatever.
will gonna elicit a positive reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that if that's what you're saying. In other words, just because you do something and you expect that it's going to, you make a valid point in our favor about the illegitimacy of soul contracts. But you will ultimately be rewarded if you go on way, and that makes it an argument against free will, because you can't control it. You can do the one wrong thing, and you can
That's
still be rewarded,
and that's free will because we chose to
depending
go
upon how
that
you
one way.
define that. Yeah,
So
depending upon
it's
how you
it's
define that.
just like tarot cards. You can have three cards that could mean three different things to three different people or for multiple different situations, but you have to see kind of how you interpret it. So again, these concepts, that we discuss, they're so multifaceted and layered that I think it does change from person to person. That's why everyone's perspectives aren't necessarily wrong, or they're not always necessarily true, because we're all expressing these experiences differently, or these concepts differently in our life. Roxy says, perhaps we are in a contract where we don't have to use our free will and are only in this one to affect someone else's journey. That could very well
Yes,
be true.
I'm more of a thinker of that belief than,
Like on
yeah.
the other side, I met Jeff at one point and said, "Hey, you're going to be a tarot reader and poetry. I'm going to need to be inspired a little bit later in life to get back into my poetry and help me on my journey. Would you be
Or
interested
vice
in, or when,
versa.
or 50 years from now, you want to, yeah, okay, so that could be technically, part of a soul contract. We come in and out because there are people in our lives. Like there's a season, there's like a reason and a season. And this past year, even within the last week, I've lost another good friend, not to passing, but just out of my life. And that person enriched and brought so much education and joy and insight into my life. But now that must have been a season, and now I have to move forward. So it's very interesting how the free will and the soul contracts, even though they seem to kind of contradict each other, but they also come together. It's really interesting. It's a fascinating subject. And I'm going to go on to Betsy now. My perspective: we all participate in power dynamics in all experiential positions. A contract may be with partners from multiple incarnations or a singular plan. Very
And
interesting.
that could lend itself to the argument about a soul family that extends beyond what
Mm-hmm.
we perceive, not as a biological family, but even the family of our guides, or the people that are with us through multiple lifetimes. So I would be
Yeah.
open to that one. But I don't think it, on most channels, it's put in such eloquent terms. I think
This is
it's,
our Betsy.
so
Yeah, I love how Betsy, when she does her readings, how she puts things into such an interesting perspective. Where sometimes I'll be like, I need a little bit of clarity on this, and then sometimes it's just like, what's the first thing you feel? What's the first thing that comes? And yeah, I love this power dynamic, because from what I've learned in Akashic records, in the past life, I was a real a-hole. I was violent. I did not live a good life. And so in another life, I don't know if it's reflecting in this one or not, but it's the opposite. And maybe like, well, you had that experience. Now you have to have this kind of experience. And it is like Jeff and I talked, it's such a, I don't want to use a bad word, but we're adults. It's almost kind of like a mind fuck if you think about it, because it's like there's so many, like Cloud Atlas, the movie. They all kept coming back to each other in completely different roles, different genders, different, cultures. And to, I haven't watched the whole movie because it got a little confusing for me, but it's that complexity and how our lives are all interwoven. I hope I'm not going off on tangent.
And
Um,
I'm wondering too if this is all just part of the balancing of the universe. They say that every Mother Gaia and all of that maybe this is going to sound controversial. I'm going to throw it out anyway. The escalation of abuse in the world and the
Mm-hmm.
escalation of personal abuse and all of that, the escalation of what we do to our bodies, making ourselves sick, making ourselves puke. Are we incarnating just as a result of not, I don't want to call it karma, just as in a reaction to where we all fit into this world
Mm-hmm.
and in a given abstraction of what is really the external force in this world, which is sometimes shit. So does someone have to play a role in one lifetime and then God says, "Up, now it's your turn to go back and do this way. I'm assigning you this role. You're going to go back and be the alcoholic uncle. You're going to go back and be a sex slave. You're going to be trafficked."
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like in some ways that it's just the organization almost of a hierarchy of being, and that's all it is. It's not karma. And the moment we put karma on it, the more complicated it becomes, because then we say, well, what can I do not to come back? Or what can I do to clear out that energy for the next lifetime? And these are things we don't have answers to.
Exactly. I'm getting caught up here. And there are times we just come here to have an experience. Some people say Earth is a popular planet to have experiences for a soul to develop, and some will come here simply just to have those. And there may be one time, maybe multiple, and then again, then there's the ones we have connections with souls from other lifetimes. Let me just go here really quick because I know we got a lot of wonderful. Um, Jay said, I believe guides don't know it all, and we have to remember that they're here to guide us through our experiences. They sometimes can't tell us everything. That's why we're here to experience lessons. Yes, I can get behind that. Karen said, it's interesting to think of having twins versus one child at a time. That could be a rabbit hole too. And it's interesting because
Mm,
twins have talk about an energetic dynamic that Betsy was talking about. I mean, they're like telepathic, the way they experience life, and when each other goes experiences things, good or bad. Now that's an incredible connection right there to have. Dina says maybe we're here to teach a lesson to another soul. Exactly. Those are the contracts. I don't mean, see, humans love to have labels. We need to like really label things to try to be able to understand them. And Betsy also added, like a swinging pendulum, we experience both ends of the swing, as well as observing from the gray areas in the middle. I like the gray area. Uh-huh. Because it's just not right or wrong. That's
I
why we
think
like
it's
have
all
these
gray.
conversations. Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Very
all
interesting.
gray. I think I think even language is gray because, as Heather said, you get to a point where in some other universe there has to be, I don't think there's definition. Maybe there doesn't have to be definition. If energy is neither created nor destroyed
Mm-hmm.
by some hook or by crook, we're somewhere out there in a time and space we can't define. Well, I want to think that that time and space that we can't define, if there are soul contracts, isn't barred by the idea that everything is classified and it has to have language. Because even inherent in that, you can hear it in the conversation we're having. We're restricting one thing to the exclusion of the positive benefit of it by closing language off by having language. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
we shoot ourselves in the foot here, even when we're trying to talk in circles about the duality of good and bad and soul contracts, or whether they're good or bad, or they're this or that. So it's like I just wish though that people would stop talking about them in such definite terms as if
Mm-hmm.
you were this and especially the hypnotic
Black
point
and
of
white. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go continue. I'm just saying. Yep, you're
Well,
right
what I
there.
was gonna say was, like, the people that have those regressions and have those memories of past lives, I believe that they had them. But even if I didn't, or even but believing that they had them is different from saying that they had to learn a lesson, or they came in to finish, or or clean car, or erase, or do what astrologists say is to cleanse the energy around them so that they don't have to repeat a certain lesson, because that makes it almost sound like you're climbing Jacob's ladder or something to heaven, and you're ascending, and you've got to do all this work again. And it's mind-blowing to me when
Exhausting.
we'll never, yeah, it's exhausting, and we'll never know really in this body, even if the soul is elevated, hopefully it is. We'll never know in this body what that feels like, and we'll never be able to tell one another on this plane. Maybe we'll meet again, but it's mind numbing to me to try to think that. I think we have to look at the individual experience, as someone else said, and just have to exclude the other ones, because I think sometimes that the individual experience might be more important to understand than the collective experience, in the sense that when you leave this planet, maybe it will all make sense to you in a different way from how it's going to make sense to me, so.
Hmm. We're all different, and we're all here having a, we're spiritual beings. We're all here having a human experience, but because we're humans, that doesn't mean that we're going to have the same experiences, or we're going to experience those experiences the same way as each other would. And what Jay said, that's what makes racism and bigotry so silly. Most likely, we've been those exact races and our genders in the past. And that's where I've been told. That's why when we come back, sometimes if we were, like, let's say, a master in a previous, and I've heard these stories, on paranormal shows and things, where people believe that, yes, I had a past life as a master. Now in this lifetime, I'm, that race, and I'm being persecuted, or I'm being, judged, or I'm being, to kind of get an understanding. It's to have an experience. So maybe not necessarily soul contracts, but we're having soul experiences. We're having spiritual experiences. Yeah, it's just, in the course, you're always looking for that label. Um, because humans need labels to help us be able to figure stuff out. Um, Roxy also said, yes, if it's not for us and our actions, perhaps someone else would not be affected or even born. Again, that's part of the whole concept. And it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? We really can't, be certain. And sometimes we can get mentally exhausted, even spiritually exhausted, really trying to figure these things out. And she also added, I'm still struggling with the concept of accessing the Akashic records. It seems to be a crystal ball for some, and I see no point in past or future experiences when we should be all present now. And Roxy, that's a
Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah,
amazing
that
point.
that really takes the wind out of the argument right
I
there.
love that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong for wanting to learn or to tap into, because I think we can learn something. But when so many are focusing on future, past, when really the present, because the future and the past is always happening in the present moment. And I love that, Roxy. Oh my goodness. Yes. Sorry.
The other
I
thing
said,
with that I find to be the most truthful is that it doesn't restrict soul contracts to a beginning and an end, and it eliminates them, because what it does is suggest that it's more of a almost a meditative tribute to oneself, to be present in the moment and not worry about what connotation your contract has, or if you're being, not saying that you wouldn't be thinking you're persecuted when you're having a human experience, but that could, of all that could lend itself to another type of argument right there. Do we use soul contracts as too much of a crutch or excuse as to why we don't honor our free will more, if there is free will?
And
But
I love how I did think of touching on that, Jeff. Oh, my life is like this. I live in a slum neighborhood. I've been poor my whole life. I don't have enough money. Things are too expensive. Well, this must have been my soul contract. This
yeah,
must be my end. Well, I'm just going to,
that
and then that completely, then you give up, and it takes away the concept of the free will, because then you're just going into and playing the idea, well, this must be my soul contract, so I must be deserving to go through all this. So again, like what Roxy said, it's really good to be present in the moment and figure out, when we have these moments, where are these feelings coming from? What are we still attached to at a certain point in our life where this gets brought up that we need to focus on? I love that. And Jay also said, and I could think of a person. Can't you, Jeff? I mean, I don't do politics. Jeff does politics, but very much this is, to me, the first person that came to my mind is 45. Has racism and bigotry and all this been here? Yes, it has. But when that individual came onto the scene, it started bringing all this out, and people started having to really face what was going on. So sometimes people like a village idiot does have a purpose where maybe his soul contract was to say, hey, I'm going to go down. People are going, I'm going to be an idiot. I'm going to be a very unpleasant individual. I am going to just make an absolute mess. I'm going to just completely, upheaval people's, lives. But why am I going to do it? Because it's going to awaken people up and make them see what's going on in the world and needs to be fixed. So again, you could say this, with this comment with this individual. And I will jump back into checks. I see I've got like 13 comments I have to get to. But Miss Moonlight also said, maybe we are reincarnated like an annual plant regrows, that we just need a new vessel for our energy. That's beautiful too.
yeah.
Karen said that's what we're talking about in astrology, how the world loves a label, polarities, feminine versus masculine. It's this or that, and it's not that simple. No, it isn't. And Betsy also added, I have come to believe Earth is an international playpen that we come to act out in extreme ways. Not so common in other existences, is what her guides say. So that's where I've heard other people say that this is kind of like a school, so to speak. And we come here to learn. While I've heard, this plant's used for other things. So again, it's perspective. Where are you spiritually in life? And oh my goodness, yes, I got a lot to highlight. Yes, thank you, Hershey, for all the thumbs and everything on the way up. Before hardly ever hearing about soul contracts, I had an epiphany that we all knew each other before in, say, heaven, and we were asked to do a job down here, which we agreed to or not. If we agreed to it, and this is continued, and I don't see the rest of it just yet. So we'll finish that one. But yeah, soul contracts, we discuss, who we're going to be. Sometimes, for me, what's hard, and I'll just put this out there, is what happens to children and what horrible atrocities are done against children. For me, I have a hard time with concepts of, well, that's their soul contract. They chose to do this, and when that kind of stuff, I don't believe in that. But for me, that's just my belief. Thomas, the experiences I have had are classified at the time as good or bad, positive or negative. With time, my views shift. What might have been bad or negative at the time changes to lessons for good. Yes, it opens us, it teaches us a lesson, it gives us an understanding. Hello, Shaylee. Welcome, welcome. Good evening, Earl. Thank you for being here. Odelia has also joined us. Yes, and how many people can be Cleopatra reincarnated or Joan of Arc or, yeah, I get that. So my teacher said rather than label, it's better to ask, is something as it should be or not? Wait a minute, what's that? My teacher said rather than label, it's better to ask if something as it should be or not. Then determine the problem and how to work with it rather than against it. My Astro blurb for the night. For me, this feels very much like radical acceptance in a way, or willing versus willingness. Are you willing to work with the problem, or willing to look at it in a way where you're willing to work with the energy and what the possible lesson is at hand? Or are you being willful and refusing to look and not wanting to acknowledge, whereas you stagnate? And so I just love this conversation tonight, everybody.
And
Um, Go ahead.
how do we know even when we are breaking a soul contract or not? Or how
Hmm.
do we know something is even a soul contract? I mean, it's just
And I like what Earl says. I believe we are here on this earth for a purpose and lessons to be learned in life. And some people think that this purpose has to be monumental, like I have to save somebody, I have to find a cure for cancer, I have to figure out a way of helping the climate change or animal. Sometimes our purpose here is to show love or gratitude, a smile to somebody who may be going through something so dark that if they didn't see you smile or say hello or treat them with a kindness, that they might have done something that would have harmed themselves or somebody else.
mm,
That, I mean, this is where I'm saying with purpose and what, what we concept, that could very well be the purpose that one has, in life is, and yet it could be a multitude of other things. But sometimes that purpose doesn't have to be, you know, monumental. It could be something very small. It may seem very insignificant, but can absolutely change the course of one person's life. And not just one person, people that are around them. And then after that, one little incident or thing that we do can add ripple effects from not just within us, but outward to other people that are in our life. And then by doing that, that would affect and maybe give them, hey, well, maybe I should do this. I can help this person this way. And they help that person. And one person gets, and you see what I mean? It
mhm.
expands. And Heather needs to reel it in. And I see everyone saying hello to Miss Tarot D. Hello, Miss Tarot D. Welcome. I was on a bit of a tangent. You two should do a podcast of these topics. Oh, that would be cool. And get Tom. If for people coming in, Tom isn't feeling well today. He wasn't able to join us, but we look forward to having Tom again next time when we do get together. So sending Tom much love and good vibes. And Miss Tarot D, I hope you're feeling better too, my dear.
If
Um,
life is a soul contract, with whom are we making that soul contract before we come down? Are we making
well,
it with a god, or are we making it with, like, a spiritual leader down here, or what are we
I
coming
think
in
I think we're making it spiritually with
with
each other.
ourselves
Well, I think
or
I
with
think we got
ourselves?
like a council. You know how they say that, we kind of have like a council that
Mhm,
over I don't know about council, but that's just the word I could think of. But I think my spirit guides, your spirit guides, and we all kind of have, a get together, and say, okay, you know, what do we want to do? How do you want to expand? My people can talk to your people. We'll arrange something. We'll come together. We'll talk. That kind of like
mhm, mhm.
Hello, Teresa. Let's see. There is a TED talk on a man who made it his life purpose to smile at people. That's amazing because that one smile can change someone's life. And I know I need a lot of catch up. We enter the world through the birth canal, forget where we originally came from. Some memories such of us is that people say, deja vu. Yeah, most definitely. We're not supposed to remember. So that memory would probably affect what we're here to do. And what we're here to do, if we have that memory, might make us go, oh no, I don't want to do that. And then, but you needed to do what you needed to do on this earth to be able to fulfill, I don't say contracts, maybe a promise, or an agreement, or contracts sounds just too business like. I think it needs to be more spiritual. Contract to me just does not feel spiritual. I mean, this is a spiritual experience. This is something that is serious. I don't know if I would necessarily call it a contract, but again, that's me, words. Heather, I too question that of children and other innocent people being harmed. Yeah. Yes, there are dark energies and they will influence our, that's why when it comes to the free will, I'm sorry, but we have free will, yes, but if somebody else's free will, especially if it's an actual person or an entity or something, um comes in our lives, to me they can take our free will away. That's why for me free will is yes, and it's also a no. Not like, again, not everything is black and white. There is just a whole, there's just a lot of gray, and even just saying the word gray, it's multi-layered, you know. And I know I've been chatting. Is there anything you wanted to add, Jeff?
Um, Something Tom just said, maybe it's a contract with
Oh,
ourselves.
Tom's here.
Not that Tom.
Oh, Thomas. Oh, I'm
Sarah,
sorry,
your
here we
way.
go. Is this it right here?
Yep, that's
Okay,
exactly it. Because I
here
was
we go.
thinking that it's with ourselves, and if it is with ourselves, then that is probably, even as antithetical to thought as it might be, or against thought, against the collective. But maybe it is to ourselves, and maybe we can only ascend as far as we can go in a given space. And to do that, maybe the judgment of things comes after, and we don't have to restrict it to the label of a soul contractor. This was an experience and not a lesson, or this was a lesson. And,
Mhm.
maybe there's something to that, as opposed to, the judgment that might come from labeling something a soul contract altogether,
Mhm.
which I think does a great disservice. Because, like, if you don't
Yeah.
subscribe to a soul contract, I mean, does that make your perspective on life less rigid than someone's who's thinking that this is what I'm supposed to do, that even if you have thoughts that are different, or you want to get out of a marriage and never do, or you are in a relationship you don't want to be in, or you don't want to have children, and God forbid someone says that they want to have an abortion, or what I'm
Mhm.
saying, like, is
Yeah.
is abortion part of your soul contract? Now there's a thought, right?
Mhm.
um it's just a very scary proposition to me.
And for entertainment purposes only,
Purposes only,
YouTube.
but
Yes,
yeah,
we're not condoning or
we're
supporting
not
or
endorsing, but
we're
we
we're
need to
just,
think
it's an
about these things.
example. Yes. And Jay said, and can you renegotiate your contract? I think you can. I think that's very possible. I mean, we are supposed to be all powerful beings. If we chose to create a contract or make an agreement or just to come down with ourselves and have an experience, um, I believe, I mean, it feels right to me that yes, we can, it's like, okay, I've learned this much. Um, it's like, again, it goes by situation, and and trying to pull an example. What would be an example to you, Jeff, of a renegotiated contract?
A renegotiated soul contract.
Yeah, unless J2 wants to add one that we can kind of actually put the meat to it and understand, because I get it energetically. I get it.
That
Yes.
would that would presuppose that you have a destiny when you came down here. How about when you commit suicide? How about if you don't know if you're gonna succeed or not at committing suicide? Are you breaking the soul contract by trying? Are you breaking the soul contract by failing? Are you breaking the soul contract for even asking the question?
Mm-hmm.
For entertainment purposes
This is
only.
only. Yeah.
Please don't
Uh,
try it.
no, there is
That's what
help,
I that's the first thing that came to my mind when I thought about it, but
and I like. Yeah, medium Betsy Palmer. I agree with that. Ourselves. Um,
Yeah.
she says not so bizarre to me. There was something else. Okay, I got to jump up a little bit higher. Maybe it's a contract. Okay, yes, that's what Tom was. Yes. And there was something to add a little bit of lightness. Um, Miss Taro D said, Jeff's sole contract is to strain our brains with these difficult questions.
Well,
So I
Tom,
love the little
the
bit of
other Tom
lightness.
isn't here, so
Yeah.
to put me in
Um,
check.
yeah. Or, whoops, or maybe your sole contract was to, because in doing so, it will lead someone else to safety or may inspire you to, you know, for for me, I've had these experiences. My brother did. My brother took his life. My mom almost, and I had to see the repercussions of that. I attempted my own in 2011. And these experiences, I've taken them as okay, now how can I use these experiences and be able to help others. And that's when I learned about, peer advocacy and learned about, educating oneself on, your rights and medications and learning to love yourself, no matter if you have a diagnosis and whatever it is, and to be open and honest about it, not to force feed, but just to be an example, and to be an ear or something or somebody that you could share your experiences with that will encourage them to move forward and make better changes and to help others. So this could all very well be part of a soul contract, you deciding that this is what I want to do, this is maybe these are the people I'm going to help ahead of time, maybe you don't. um, Again, this is something that is not cut and dry. There's no black and white. There's just all these layers, and when we get over to the other side, then we'll remember. um, there are times we just need to be. Yes, exactly. And for me, my personal experience by sharing, I've had some people say, well, you overshare, and I'm like, no, because I've had people tell me my by me oversharing, I've helped people. And it's not an ego thing. It's just me like, well, if what I talk about openly and honestly helps people and I can make a difference for a few people here and there, then that's what, I will do. Let's see. Okay, we already clicked on that. Have heard that even, yeah, it is. The comment got lost though. Sometimes lately StreamYard's been like mushing together comments in my feed, and so some of it gets lost. So I apologize if I don't get the whole one out there. I don't believe in you know self harm. Let's say is a sin. So maybe Harley, great thought. Okay, so we're talking about with Harley. Here I go again with my clicker. Yep, I gotta go out, guys, and come back because my StreamYard's freezing up with my mouse. I'll be right back.
Hmm. Also, one of the things that comes to mind for me is if you're looking straight past, you're looking you're looking to do something different in your life. You feel like your life's purpose has changed, yet you might have been, you know, making a lot of money doing something, and then all of a sudden you decide to veer left and do something that isn't fruitful, isn't beneficial, could make you homeless. You decide that you don't want to do something, even though it led to a better life and a better life for your family, and you've got 5 kids. Are you breaking a soul contract that you made with God to or whomever to raise a family and do the? I mean, how, can you negatively impact a whole bunch of lives by changing your soul contract and renegotiating it? I mean, are you making a deal with the devil when you change your soul contract ever?
Well, there you go, because you might be getting into things that you think you have
Are,
control over or you want
right.
to explore,
Uh,
and then you get yourself you know, head over heels into it, and next thing you know, there goes your contract, unless that is part of the I don't know, but when it comes to negative beings or entities, I don't know. I don't see them necessarily as being part of a soul contract.
Hmm.
So that's that might be another discussion as well. Somehow formulating that topic, because there are people that want to get into some of the dark crazy shit that's going on, that you can get into, and they think, oh, I'm okay, I can, da 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 da, whatever it might be, and next thing you know, someone comes knocking spiritually on the door saying it's time to pay up, or you start, and then it's like, oh crap, but no, this is my, so there you go. The free will, your free will was there. You chose to do that, but then that to me would, I think, would negate a soul contract, because I think a soul contract isn't supposed to be something that is supposed to harm the soul. It's supposed to help the soul grow. Whereas when you start getting into the darker stuff, the lower level frequency, the darker beings, that because people, there are good and the bad. And of course, then there you got your shades of gray in between. But when you go messing with like stuff like that, that can affect a soul contract. And at that point, you know, something like that to me would not be a soul contract, because that's like soulless, if that makes sense. I might be going off on a tangent again, but another topic possibly for discussion. Um, oh, wow. See, this is what I love about our chatters and our chat, Jeff. People feel safe to share. And I want that. Sometimes, yep, we're all screenwriters. That's where the free will comes in, until, of course, there will be those who, take away our free will. Um, but in the meantime, we do the best that we can. Like Betsy says, we write, our stories. Um, wow. Oh, did I miss a part one, Miss Tarot D? Or maybe you're a freelancer and make a new soul contract after you complete the last one, and so on until, excuse me, time runs out for our physical bodies on Earth. That's an interesting, because there are
That's a
people
good
that have
thought.
had near death experiences, and they're given an opportunity. Some are said, nope, you got to go back. You're not done yet. And there are some that are given the chance to, you can stay or go, and they choose to, come back. So that's also, not negotiating, but, reworking what, you have planned to do. Go ahead, Jeff.
Um,
Hi, Serena.
I was just gonna say hi to Scorpio, Mama.
Oh,
That's it.
okay. I have to jump up here again. So, um, okay. And you know what? I have a friend who's been through so much, and she has done the same too. But her spirit guides, her spirit team, they keep her safe. So yeah, we all have those moments more than, and we're afraid to share this, because people, again, that stigma, you know, with mental health. Um, so a lot of us repress this and are afraid to discuss it, and get the help needed. And Tom said, these are the topics of my teenage angst, and started my sleepless nights. Life happened, and now I'm much more shallow and can fall asleep at a moment's notice. Acceptance of randomness.
Yeah,
Random shit happens,
there's nothing like that
and it's not.
one little moment before you doze off to sleep. That's almost like it's like I don't know how to explain it. Like that right second before you fall asleep, or that second before you nod off. That's a very peaceful second. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if it all could be like that, then if the perspective could be as Tom said, then that would be the ideal. Bye, Hershey.
Bye, Hershey. Here, I'm just gonna move things up for people who don't know, because everyone's used to seeing Mozzie. This is my other one. She's been coming in. This is my Ziva. She's 16 this
Oh,
year. She's my mama's. Yes, she is. Alrighty, you be a good girl. No, okay. Sometimes she gives me kisses on what I'm doing. Alrighty. So let's see. Let me just back up a little bit because I see Shaylee's been sharing. Um, Scorpio Mama. Okay. We're talking. Yeah, I was given a choice. Okay. That is why I'm so big on free will. I was told that I make my own choices. My choices could not be made for me. And I agree with that. But um, from my perspective, there are times when people make choices for us. And that's when sometimes we have to make those hard choices for ourselves as well. So for me, what we're referring to, Shaylee, like when we had our last conversation, is that we have the free will to make the changes necessary to situations that happen to us in our lives. Um, and a lot of times those will be ones that were caused not by our own free will, by another person's. But for me, again, like an example, what happened to me with my brother and with my self harm
I'll be right
is
back.
that I said, okay, I can claim myself a victim, especially when it came to with my brother, or I could take this opportunity of what happened to me in my life and the pain that it caused, and I can turn it into something where, okay, that free will was taken away from me as a child, but my free will as an adult is going to be me moving forward and being open about it and being there to have the conversation for people who have been through that situation or may have a loved one who has gone through that situation and needs to have someone to talk to or to know that they're not alone. Um, so, if, like again, everything is all completely, black or white in this situation. Okay, let's see. Did Thomas share something else? Or did I make sure? Because I don't want to try not to miss anybody's. Um, that's where early exit points come into play too. I had a cousin, 16 years old. She was going to be a chef. She was going to culinary school. Got off the bus, was having a bit of an argument with her sister. They crossed the street. Some guy's free will of reckless driving took out my cousin at 16. So was that part of her soul contract with him to change his life? Or was that something that was his free will that took away her free will and had to leave early? And will now she come back? I don't know. So life is just so complex. Again, um, yes, Miss Moonlight, that's my Ziva. And my Ziva was named after Ziva David from the early NCIS, in which she had two babies. It was so funny. I thought they were both boys when they were born, so I named one McGee and one Denozo. Turns out they were both girls, but that's okay. They kept the names. Um, oh, how sweet! Yes, the little tuxedo kitties. Uh, give her a kiss for me and Fatima. Okay, mwah. That's from Fatima, and that's from Odilia. Alrighty, and we're so thankful to you for that. Oh, thank you, my dear. And oh, Ramon came back. I see his name. I'm trying to. There we go. Huh? There we go. Hello, welcome back, Moon. Ramon. I love that name, Moon Scarab. That is so cool. Miss Tarot D, Indigo Jaguar, feeling a little tired. Alrighty, my dear. I know you're not feeling well. Everyone send love and healing hugs to Miss Tarot D. I'll do the little heart. I'll have to do a little mini heart because I got the other one in my arms right now. Um, Also, for your information, I had taken. Oh, so in a previous life, Shaylee, or in this one? Because sometimes we have to come back. Mine didn't get to that extent where I had an out of body experience because I got help from a neighbor. Um, but yeah, we all have different experiences. Uh, Ziba. It's Ziba. Ziva. So, yeah, I can't get my key thing to do the little accent on Ramon's name. I'll have to try to figure out if someone can help me with that. Um, Miss Moonlight. I have my first tuxedo kitty. He is 12 years old and he's the sweetest cat. He's mischievous too. I just adore him. He chirps like a bird. Oh, how cute. Um, and
Sorry.
so, alrighty, everyone's just been saying, talking about our kitties, um, and giving kisses. So this topic is a brain fart and mental in indigestion for sure. Yeah, it is because it can be broken down into so many. I mean, we could easily do a part two on this. I think there's a lot more that can be, covered, especially when, you know, Tom feels better and he wants to come back. We could always, do a second parter, or we can move on to, another topic. I had to learn in chat too the accent thing. Oh, okay, on your phone. Um, if on a Windows keyboard, it's an Alt 162. I don't. I just have a little cheapy keyboard that I got off of Amazon for my iPad. Um, uh, yes, she. Yeah, you don't know what she really. Should I tell them your business? What you do? We have to put four totes containers stacked two on top of each other and push them up against the cupboard doors on the floor, because when she gets irritable and she wants food or she wants attention, she takes her paw, she opens the door and bangs it. She lets it go. And she bangs it, and she knows what she's doing. And so now, when she's awake, we have to make sure we have four totes stacked on top of each other to keep her from doing that. Huh. Alrighty. This topic is my wheelhouse. I can listen all day. Let's see if Roxy. Wow, seems we are all starving for these types of conversations. So much growth and learning and love. Yes. And again, like we stated at the beginning, we are not all going to have the same belief. This isn't to make someone believe something differently, it's just to present different perspectives, and to know that we can share those different perspectives, because there are some areas in the tarot community, and it's a very big community. There's a lot of readers outside of our circles as well. And sometimes it gets to a point where it's a group think. And, this is how we all think, and this is how it is. And this is what I've channeled. This is what my guides say. And so, for me, at times that has felt a little, um, I don't want to say demeaning, but I'm trying to find the word, not condescending, a little bit. Sometimes it can be a little condescending, but it's also a little bit like when I can't think of the word, when they pat you on the head. Not condescending though, but it's just
Patronizing, you know?
patronizing a little bit, like you're insignificant. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you can have no, but this is how. And for me, and again, that's okay, because some people, that's their experience, and this is part of their spiritual journey, and that's what they need, and that's how they connect, and that's how they grow that way. Whereas, for some of us, I'd like to be able to keep things a little bit open so that we have that room for conversation. And then when people leave here, they're like, well, that was interesting. Different perspectives. I might look at things a little differently. Some people might say, well, doesn't really matter. This is what I'm still going to believe. But I like that, it was okay to have a different point of view and to be allowed to share it, and not, like you said, kind of be patronized, kind of like, oh, but this is what I
Mhm.
channeled, or this is what I downloaded. And you'll understand one of these days, that kind of, and there's not a lot of it, but from time to time, I see sometimes that a little bit. And I don't think it's necessarily intentional, but it's just, for me, it's very invalidating too, I think, is another word. I just like to be able to, um, again, Jeff and I like to be able to have these conversations that are open and people feel safe, to share their thoughts. Geomancy is amazing. So happy you enjoy. Oh, yes. Ramon has a lot of videos, Javamancy, Geomancy. He's created his own runic Rubik's Cube. It's very cool. With Scott, okay. Yep, that would be Scott Scorpio. Oh, she knows what she wants. Yep, yes, she does. And it's not Ziba, it's Ziva with the V. That's cute. Your name is Z. You're gonna have a new name. Harley's gonna call you Ziva. Is that okay? She's like, yeah, mom, whatever. I'm surprised she's still being this chilled, on my lap, patronizing in a way, yeah, or belittling a little bit, you know. Um, I know you're like, she did choose that cat cabinet. Yeah, kitty contract. Is that your kitty contract? Huh? And I told Shan, we know that when she passes, we're going to be like, oh, remember when she used to? And I go, well, when she does pass, and she will at some point, you know, if we hear a door do a little rattle, we'll know who it is. Um, let's see, Ramon, I've been around since the Middle Ages. I have a video on my channel going in details on the geomantic figures. Wow. Yeah. Um, I don't like the by watching this video. I don't like the by the something by watching this video you agreed to. Oh, with the Akashic records. Oh, okay. I think I understand that. Aloha, Jonathan. You got this. It's okay. We're still hanging out, chilling. Tom was under the weather, but Jeff and I have been having some amazing conversations. Betsy's here. Miss Taro D was here. Hershey, Thomas, Froxy Roxy has really dropped a couple good bombs on us tonight. It's kind of like, so as Jay, we're all having a wonderful conversation. So Diva Ziva. Yes, that's what we call her, don't we? You want to say hi? She's like, yeah, whatever. She's just kind of like looking up at the ceiling. So is there anything else you wanted to share about?
No, I think we ran through the hour pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It all went by in a flash, but then again, this whole life is a flash, really. And then
Mm-hmm.
in the end, that's what we will know. I guess that's the only thing we can say for certain, right?
Yeah. I'm just going through and making sure I didn't miss any of the star comments. I still this is one's makes me giggle. I have come to believe Earth is an international playpen. Yeah, a lot of different species come here, and yeah, everybody wants to. And then you got people who believe that the only reason why we are here is because we were a slave race created by the Anunnaki
Yes,
to
that
mine
too.
resources. So there's all different types of ways of of seeing things from people's perspective. Um, and that would be interesting because Tom covers says he does a lot of studies a lot esoteric, and I like to pick his brain on the. Have you ever looked into the Anunnaki and the tablets and stuff, and or is that not your thing? Hello, Lady Silver. I missed the beginning, but many old souls choose disabilities to work on karma. I can get behind that. Anything is possible. Well said. We solved it, Jeff.
Sounds like we're in a better place than we were in the beginning, and I don't think on any other channel we would have been as good as in good. No offense to the people with channels here. It's just we had the brain trust all among us, Heather. So that's how we did it.
And we
All
were
of you
able to
guys.
we were able to keep the lines of communication open.
Yes.
And I don't know what that word is. I'm looking for this word tonight. And watch, I'm going to be done in a little bit, and I'm going to be like, that was it. I'm going to look at Ziva and go, why didn't you tell mommy? That would be a good topic. Yes, it would be.
It would be.
The Anunnaki, because you hear, yeah, that's some of that stuff is so crazy. But then when you see some of the stuff that they find, again, it's one of those things where we won't know until we're back on the other side, and then, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. And let's see, did I miss anything else? Love the sharing of different points of views. It necessarily doesn't mean that we're going to change. No, exactly, our beliefs, but we're respectful enough to hear another person's point of view. Yeah, we all learn from each other, and like that saying, we're all walking each other
And
home.
another thing about this is too how we define consciousness. That has a lot to do with how we define a soul contract. Once the consciousness changes when we shift um, universes or whatever, when we move out of this earthly plane, a lot of it's going to depend on looking back on it, as someone said earlier, and then saying, why did we put a label on it, like Heather said, or as Heather said? Um, if the consciousness is such that we have to put labels on things, we're going to keep putting labels on them. And for better or for worse, we're stuck. And that will be, I think, something we'll have to deal with till the moment we die, if we choose
Hmm.
to. If we don't choose to and we live more evolved lives, then, we don't have to. And that's why we have shows like this that at least they're putting more guesswork into it. But that's what's needed to debunk so much of what's out there that we don't know. And that's the whole idea of the unknown, you know?
Yep. And like Jay says, perspective is everything. You want to get up? You want to adjust? So exactly. Okay, okay. Just don't stick your butt in the camera like the other one does. No. Okay, going to get down. All righty.
We do Care Bear. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I guess that can. Yeah. Good night, Roxy. Thank you for being here. Thank you again for that amazing comment and perspective. Um, for people who weren't here, Roxy, we were discussing, the soul contracts, and Akashic records got brought up, and she pointed out that so many people want to know what's in the future, what's in my past, without, let's focus on the present. Let's be in the present moment with ourselves, with what our life is, and what we're doing in this lifetime, and how we can enrich our lives and others, being in present in the moment. And I loved that. But I'm not gonna. But Harley, she is a diva. Trust me. She has to have her baby food. Yeah, never mind. She's a diva. Um, Miss Moonlight, the TV show Severance is deep. See, I don't have cable and stuff, so I don't get to watch regular TV, and a lot of stuff I deep dives into consciousness. Okay, there was a channel Gaia that I watched for a while, but sometimes some of the things that people say on certain shows, it's just kind of like, for them, it's their reality. This is what they really believe in, and for me, it's just like, oh boy, no. So, you know, again, but it's being able to foster conversation, you know, and to just, it's a nice reminder in this day of culture, what they call it, cancel culture, you know, and having to watch everything that you say, is that, we can still have different opinions and not be bad people for it, or be made to feel less of it because we don't hold a particular belief or an understanding. Um, so yeah, that's really important. Carpe diem, you got it, Shaylee. This would make a great Zoom. I feel like I'm in a
Oh,
class.
yeah.
In a good way. Just like, oh god. Oh yeah. If I could afford Zoom, I was told by Val from Illumination Portal that maybe I should start my own Zoom group, but I don't have the money for it. So this will do. This will do. And again, everybody, thank you for joining Jeff and I tonight. Jeff and I will be back tomorrow night with Karen Care Bear, who also, or excuse me, Bard of Cards. I love that. She'll be joining us for sharing our poetry, um, possibly doing prompts. That was very fun last
Yeah, I'd
week.
love to do that again.
And I have lots of poems that I've worked on. I can't believe it's been a week already. You're going to get that tattooed on you? All righty. And Jonathan also adding, how does our actions now affect our future? And does it echo backwards?
Jonathan,
So,
you have to come on that show now that we're gonna do.
yeah, Jonathan, I'll give you the, let me know. We'll set
We
up
will
a
do,
time in the
yeah, I
evening.
like that.
That would be great. I love it. I'm going to watch Rewind. Alrighty, my dear. Great topic. Oh, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you,
I mean,
Tom.
Thomas. Oh, my goodness. It's getting later. So, yes, Jeff, do you have anything else going on tomorrow besides you and I and Care Bear? Karen?
Yeah, Hershey, I, and Tom will be doing the judgment card
That's right.
on Intuitive Interactive Tarot Journal. So watch us at 1 Eastern time tomorrow. If you're not watching anything else, watch us anyway.
I've been
Y'all
trying to
can
get back
wait.
into my studies. Yeah, I need to focus. And Shelly says every action has a reaction.
Hmm.
And that's where, free will can play in along with somebody else's. Again, I think it was quant somebody just quantum physics. I was talking to somebody recently about quantum physics, and it's just I think that's a whole part of it. Is the every action has a reaction. So, and Jonathan says email. So there we go.
Here we go.
Da 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 da. Miss Moonlight says I'll be in there. I need to sit on it. Wait a minute. I need to sit in on that card. Ah, judgment. Yes. So yeah, tomorrow night with Jeff, Karen, and I, Miss Bard of Cards, and that will be at 8 o'clock. And Jeff, again, thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Tom, I hope you're feeling better. Sending you so much love and healing energy. And we will see everybody on our next show. We'll talk to you later. Thank
Bye,
you again.
Fatima. Bye, Care Bear. Bye, Charlie. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Bye,
Foxy Roxy.
everybody.
Bye, bye.
Much love. Thank you.